Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of IPPFA TV, Illinois Public Pension Fund Association Television. Today we're honored to have Representative Stephanie Kifowit from the Illinois General Assembly. I'll introduce her in just a second. My name is Dan Ryan. I'm a part-time project coordinator with the group, retired out of careers in public finance and union benefits. To my right is Jim McNamee, our president. Jim formed the IPPFA while he was still an active patrol officer in Barrington PD in 1985. It has since grown to an organization that supports the Illinois Police and Fire Pension funds and has grown to also include the Chicago groups and non-public safety, specifically education and general employees. We're proud of that growth and proud to be led by Jim today. Representative Kifowit, to assist our viewers with a little bit of your background. You entered the United States Marine Corps in 1990, served honorably both stateside and overseas. On return to civilian life, you took degrees in undergraduate and graduate at Northern Illinois University, the latter in public administration, one of my favorites. You served on the Aurora City Council, went into the General Assembly, the 84th District in 2013. You serve on committees for Veterans Affairs, Revenue and Finance, and notably for our audience, personnel and pensions. I don't know if you wish you could redo that assignment, but we're happy to have you as our state representative in that regard. So, but looking back real quickly, what possessed a young lady back in 1990 to join the United States Marine Corps?
Well, I have to say I graduated high school, and I took a couple classes at community college, and it wasn't quite fitting at that point in time in my life, and I wanted to do something exciting. And then when I looked at all the branches, I decided to join the best branch, which is the United States Marine Corps. So I went into, and I signed up for the Marines, and I told myself if I don't get into the hardest and the best, then I would sign up for the Air Force. But the Marines took me, and the rest is history.
Service rivalries.
Oh my God.
Go Navy.
Very good. Okay, well, we're very happy for you that service, and it's obviously a career in public service, both in uniform and outside of uniform. I'll start with the first serious question. There's all the the Aurora City Council time. You later on took assignments at the state level that have quite an impact at local government. Is the Aurora City Council time important to you in terms of your development as a state rep?
Well, I think if you look at the General Assembly as a whole, not just me, but as a whole, we have a remarkable amount of individuals that started their public service in county government or city government, municipal government, villages. And I think that foundation, that knowledge is really, truly important to good decision making in the General Assembly. You have an idea of the mechanics and a bit of an idea of some of the legislation that we pass, how it affects the local level, how it affects, like you were saying, police and fire, and how budget cuts can affect whether an engine is going out or an engine is out of service for a day. And those kind of things are really important. And so having that base of knowledge either on the county level or the municipal village level, I think is really important in not only for me, but just for the General Assembly as a whole. Not to say that other individuals without that foundation aren't good legislators, but I think having that knowledge base helps give input where others that don't have that knowledge or that experiences might not realize.
Okay. I have an observation, anecdotal more so than data-based. It's hard to get preemption of home rule passed through the legislature because so many of you were mayors, city councilmen, county commissioners, and whatnot, and know how important home rule authority is to those individuals. Real quick before Jim moves us on to pensions, Veteran Affairs, which you're on, that's primarily a national issue. What role do the states play, or Illinois specifically, in Veterans Affairs?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. If you're looking at it only through the lens of the VA does provide for veterans. And full disclosure, my son is in the Navy. My daughter's new husband's in the Army. They're both overseas. So when they come back home, as when I came back home, the state is there to take care of them. So what can the state do for veterans? What do we do for veterans? Well, when I came home, I got the Illinois Veterans Grant.
Okay.
So the state of Illinois thanked me for my service by allowing me to attend a state school, NIU, for tuition free. So I was able to get not only my undergraduate degree, which I finished in a few years, not the full 4 years. I was able to then use my Illinois Veterans Grant for my graduate degree for the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois recognizes the sacrifices for disabled veterans. So if you're a disabled veteran, 75% to 100%, then your property taxes are either nothing or almost nothing. If you have a disability of 30% or more, you get a little bit of a discount on your property taxes to say thank you for your service. We have veteran on your driver's license so that you don't have to always pull out a DD-214. You can go anywhere and it says veteran right on your driver's license. There's no doubts about it. In fact, we have just passed legislation forcing disclosures of individuals who are charging fees for veteran benefits. Now, we, as a state, provide our VSOs, our Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, our veteran service officers can do benefits and appeals for free, no charge. Our counties have VACs, Veteran Assistance Commissions. They can do benefits and appeals for free, no charge. However, there's scammers out there that make veterans feel that they have to pay a lot to appeal their claim. And we passed laws that said that they have to disclose that they can get those services for free from the state or the county. Along with, just recently we passed a veteran benefit poster. So in every workplace, there's a poster that will go right alongside the DOL poster, veteran benefit poster. So if a veteran is getting something out of the refrigerator in the break room, they can look up and they can see the hotline for the Attorney Generals to help with veterans' rights. They can see where they can get their benefits for free, watching out for scammers. And on the state level, we're focusing on trying to stem the tide of veteran suicide by making sure that we can look for housing, emergency money for food, and other things that we can do to help our veterans along, just to name a few.
Well, great summary of some very necessary programs.
Illinois is one of the leaders of the nations with regards to veteran benefits and taking care of our veterans here. And as an aside, we do operate 5 veteran homes throughout the state of Illinois. Most recently opened one in Chicago. So our older veterans who need care can reside in our veterans homes.
Very good. Well, thank you. Time to move over to the topic of the day, Illinois pensions. Jim, you want to step up?
Absolutely. And first, I salute your service. I'm vet myself, Army. I was a combat engineer. So I know how important it is to have these benefits. I went to college, and I also got the state scholarship from them. Excuse me. My voice is I'm going to lose it here in a little bit. And if I do, I hope I'll have Dan pick it up, fighting a cold. But the other issue we want to talk about is all of the pension hearings. And I salute you for doing that because you're getting input on an issue that needs to be addressed, which is pension benefits, the safe harbor issues and all that. And you've been doing these hearings throughout the state, in the Chicago, down in Springfield, and getting input from all the different organizations and groups on how we are going to address the issue of pension benefits going forward here in Illinois. And there's a big push right now to try to move Tier 2 up to improve the situation. Do we see it to be possibly moving just beyond the safe harbor, but improving the benefit structure of those in Tier 2?
Well, as you noticed, we've had 16 subject matter hearings over this general
Absolutely.
Assembly. Hours upon hours of testimony from every facet that touches the pension system of the state of Illinois. Police, fire, teachers, state employees, you name it. And as you mentioned, first and foremost, is what's called the safe harbor provision. And for those individuals that might not know what that means that the state of Illinois, under federal law, has to have a pension system that's equal to or greater than Social Security. Because, as you know, our individuals do not pay into Social Security, and their pension is their only retirement plan. The Tier 2 benefit has now been found to fail the safe harbor or the Social Security test.
Compliance test, sure.
On numerous factions. So we need to adjust for Social Security and to make sure that we are equal to or better than Social Security. And the safe harbor provision, as you says, will bring us equal to Social Security with regards to the dollar amount. And there's been numerous individuals at the table to look at the benefit structure as well as Tier 2. And we've had different proposals. I believe there were 19 different bills filed of different types of benefit packages, for lack of a better word, to see what the dollar cost is, what we can afford in our budget, and if we can adjust benefits to be a little bit more competitive with our neighboring states and with the private sector. And so there's been a lot of work looking at retention and recruitment because we are not recruiting individuals as we need. We have a severe shortage, severe teacher shortage, severe state worker shortage, shortages in our fire services, shortages in our police ranks. So how can we not only attract workers, but then also retain them? And when you look at our benefit structure, it's just not competitive in that realm. And we have to be competitive because we can't function without good people working for the state of Illinois. So one of the nuggets, though, of that discussion is the pension protection clause. If we had Tier 1 benefits, which was compounded and more generous than Social Security. Now, with the pendulum swung to Tier 2, which cut some of the benefits and is not in compliance. So the thought is, where can we find that middle ground? Because our finances are still a little bit strained, and where can we find that middle ground to give some benefits to be competitive, not a full Tier 1 benefit, because once benefits are adjusted, they can't be readjusted. They can always be adjusted for the better, but we can't take anything back. So it's being as cautious as possible, as fiscally responsible as possible, and respecting the employee and honoring them for their service working for the state of Illinois.
Help us out on a return to high school civics. How are you going to corral 14 bills down to 1 bill or 2 bills? Is that possible?
Well, it's not crawling. In Springfield, in order to get more data, you have to file a bill.
Okay.
And when you file the bill, then you can go to what's called COGFA, the Commission on Government Financing and Accountability, and ask them for financials and evaluation of that bill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not taking 14 bills down to 1. It's looking and saying, here's a portion of this bill that might work with a portion of that bill that might work, and the numbers of this bill work. So, for example, COGFA and a Siegel report in April said that the cost for just the Social Security wage base to the state budget would be about $250 million a year. So as a base minimum, through these bills, we were able to extract an estimate, not an absolute, but an estimate of that dollar amount.
Of what you might call minimum compliance.
Of minimum compliance. Okay. So that's kind of our base. So now we can point to that and say, well, that's our minimum. Now, everything else, if we change the ages, if we change the COLAs, if we change the final average salaries, goes up from there.
Right.
And so it's just really trying to find out what pieces fit in the puzzle, and in this case, which pieces are the most financially responsible, budget worthy, and hopefully we can do some things to correct so that we can be competitive in the marketplace with our budget package.
Irrespective of any legislation regarding here, what's the legislative schedule? Do you start a new session, a regular session, sometime after the first of the year?
No, after the first of the year, it's called lame duck.
All right.
So 4 through 7, January 4 through 7, we're technically in the old General Assembly, the 103rd General Assembly. So we can still pass bills that were introduced in the old General Assembly in that time frame. So that's to the 7th, January 8th, the new 104th General Assembly gets sworn in. So that means everything is wiped clean. There's no residuals. And then after that date, there's 2 weeks where staff and everybody has to retool for the 104th General Assembly. And then towards the end of January is when the 104th General Assembly will be introducing bills and starting anew. So it's all new, brand new. We can carry some bills over. They have to be refiled and everything has to be redone.
Thank you.
So we're probably not looking at anything happening with pensions then probably until May, right? Is what we're thinking?
We don't know. We've had a lot of pension hearings. There's some talk about potentially lame duck, potentially beginning of February in the new General Assembly. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to consideration of a bill, getting final language, and making sure we can pass it in that short time frame as well. I think we've done a lot of groundwork with the 16 subject matter hearings that a lot of people are now familiar with the subject, but we need to get final language, and we don't have that. You mentioned we filed a bill 5909. That's a pension bill from the We Are One Coalition. Not final language, but more ideas with regards to pensions, which is always welcome. And so now it's drilling down and getting that final product that we're still working on. So whether that can come together in a couple of days and be ready for lame duck or not remains to be seen.
Well, we appreciate the filing of that bill. Obviously, we see it's important for Illinois to be able to recruit quality people, and obviously people are looking at the risk and reward of these occupations. And when they look at it, they're saying, well, I can go to this state or I can go here. And it's no longer parochial type recruitment. It's national. Everybody's after people for teaching jobs or also for law enforcement and stuff. So it does create a lot more competition, a lot more pressure on us to be able to be competitive in those things. So I salute you. I know that the hearings have been going on for quite some time, which was a big endeavor. But that's the right way to do it. I know when we did when Tier 2 came in, it was like 72 hours, boom, boom, boom. There wasn't a lot of analysis, and it was just a push through. And those types of things lead to problems that we're having to mop up right now, that you are, as chairman of this committee, having to deal with and mop up. So, I got to say my hat's off to you, because it is it's a lot of work. And sometimes not without the amount of appreciation that needs to be for the occupation of what you're doing. So my thank you as president of this association for everything that you do for us. We appreciate it. Anything else that you want to be bringing up to us that you would like us to know as far as organization and our membership out there that might be coming up or should be looked at?
Well, I just think that outreach such as you, which you've done, you've been in Springfield, you've participated in the hearings and given input. This is what makes good government and good policy. As you said, the Tier 2 was pushed through in about 48 hours to the governor's desk in 72 hours. Very little deliberation at best. And here we are. And so we have, over the course of the 103rd General Assembly, over the course of 2 years, had 16 subject matter hearings to make sure that no stone is unturned. No idea is not at least evaluated or looked at, so that we have good policy going forward, and always keeping in mind our financial house is the best it's been in over 20 years. We've had 9 credit upgrades. Our past due bills are down to a normal operating accounts payable.
Amazing.
And so we
God.
certainly do not want to pass anything that would jeopardize our standings with the bond houses or all the forward progress we've had. So and it's taken a lot of work. It really has. It's myself, and of course the committee has done a yeoman's job as well, putting together, but just connecting with representatives, senators in your area, talking to them about pensions, talking to them about issues that affect their lives. Your members can call up wherever they live, their representative and senator, and make that connection so that they can start giving input as well. It's not always input at a committee hearing. It's everyday people's input as well. Can sometimes be equal to or more important to that representative or senator than testimony at a committee hearing. So just to have your members be active, engaged, and we are average everyday people too. There's nothing special about us. We come to work, we do this job that just happens to be in Springfield, happens to be at the state capitol, but we are here to get a job done too.
Very good.
And so individuals that just call up and say, I want to meet my state representative, I want to meet my state senator, can I come by the office, can I go to an event, how do I get to know this person, is really important. It's really important to us to make good policy too, to hear from
Terrific.
everyday people and how this affects them.
Well, now with the lame duck schedule education you gave us, our tech people are going to be, we've got to get this on IPPFA TV before then so we can do that outreach to our membership
Very good.
so that they can follow your advice.
And that's absolutely true what you're saying. It's all about outreach, and it's all about people interacting and so on. So that is so important for all of our local pension boards out there. You need to be making sure you're communicating with your local legislators and talking to them and giving them your input. And it is a two-way street because they need to be talking. If they don't hear from you, they don't know. And that's the old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So that's exactly what we need to be doing. And again, I salute you. You've been great for us as an organization, but you've been great for police and fire, teachers, all of us looking out for our pensions, which is so important because that's the most important asset that all of us have is our retirement pension. And that asset is something that we obviously must protect, and in some cases, like with the Tier 2, we must improve it somewhere down the road. We've got to be able to compete.
Absolutely, and it's to the benefit of the state too. Individuals that have retirement security take up less state programs.
Correct.
So we want to make sure that as many people as possible in the state are retirement secure, so that they can live out however many years the good Lord gives you, with comfort and with hopefully health, and be able to be self-sustaining onto their own. And the amount of World War II veterans I know that lived in their homes up until the last day, that's what it's about. And from the state of Illinois, that's what we need to strive for.
Yeah, we've gone through the World War II veterans, now we're going through all the Korean War veterans, and then it's the Vietnam, we're losing a lot of the Vietnam veterans, which is, I came in at the back end of that, so that whole era is changing. Again, thank you so much for your time today. This was excellent. We appreciate it. And again, our hats off to you. Thank you for your government service.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and of course, always happy to come on and educate and try to give people just a little glimpse into what happens in Springfield, what's happening under the dome, as we like to say, and how I know myself and many of us in the General Assembly are working really hard for the individuals that give so much to our community, our police and our fire, our state workers on the side of the road when crazy cars are going 100 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody gives so much to the state, and it's the least we can do to at least start to adjust our pensions, even if it's just a little bit now, and hopefully get in more financial stability later to start really keeping the eye on adjusting those pension benefits.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And thank you all for your attention today on our this episode of IPPFA TV.